Hello, you're going to do the test corrections for CCA number 3. This test you took about 2 weeks ago. I hadn't returned them because we weren't sure if we were going to do a retest or not, but this is something that you need to do if you didn't get an 80 or above. If you have less than an 80, I suggest you do it because this counts as 60% of your grade and it will help your grade actually increase. I'm going to enter those test grades. So if you have a low grade, it's going to lower your grade too. So make sure you complete this as soon as you can. So, and remember when we do test corrections, we have to have 2 columns to our paper. Remember, you always do your test corrections on a separate sheet of paper. Please do not do any corrections on your test because I don't look at your test again. And if you're doing them there, I will not accept them and you will not get credit for your test corrections. So use another sheet of paper. And when you do, make sure that you have 2 columns. One side will be your answer, what I show here as work, and then the correct answer. And then on the other side, you're going to figure out what your mistakes are. So compare what you did to what I'm showing you and go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a chance to go get your paper so you could get this ready and so we could get started with number 1. So the first one was I can multiply fractions. And remember, when you multiply fractions, if you have mixed numbers, you have to change them to improper fractions. So let's do that first. We're going to go ahead and do improper fractions. Remember, you always multiply the denominator with a whole number, which is 6. So I'm going to put 6 here. And then you add 1. So my stylus is not working, so there you go. So 6 plus 1, it's going to give you 7 over 2 times 3 over 5. Then all you do is multiply straight across. So it's going to be 21 over 10. So how many times does 10 go into 21? So I know 2 times, and it's a whole number, and your remainder is going to be 1 over 10. So my answer was 2 and 1/10. So check your answer and look at what you did incorrectly and make sure you're right about it. For number 2, well, it's actually 3, but on your CMS it was 2. So we're going to go ahead and change that. So it says I can divide fractions. So when you're dividing fractions, all you have to do is make sure that you are doing a key change flip. So we know that when we have a whole number, it's 6 over 1. So this becomes 6 over 1. I'm going to change the division to multiplication, and I'm going to flip the second fraction so it becomes 3 over 2. Once you do that, then all you have to do is multiply straight across. 6 times 3 is 18. 1 times 2 is 2. And how many times does 2 go into 18? That would be 9 times. So that is my answer. So go ahead and check your answer. Make sure that you are looking at your mistakes and then write down what your mistakes were. Okay, so here it says I can multiply decimals. So basically you do not need to line up the decimals. All you have to do is multiply it like it was just normal numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and do the 5 first. So 5 times 3 is 15. Carry the 1. 5 times 7 is 35 plus 1 is 36. So bring the 3 up. 5 times 6 is 30 plus 3 is 33. Bring the 3 up. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 3 is 8. Okay, so because we're starting the next place value, we're going to go ahead and do the 2. So I'm going to put a 0, and then now I'm doing the 2. So 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 7 is 14. Carry the 1. 2 times 6 is 12 plus 1 is 13. Carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. So then I already did that one, so I'm going to go ahead and do the third one. So this is the third one. So because it's a third place value, I'm going to do 2 zeros and then multiply. 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 7 is 7, 1 times 6 is 6, and 1 times 1 is 1. So now I'm going to add it all up. So 5 plus 0, 0 is 5. 6 plus 6 is 12. Carry the 1. 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 1 is 8, plus 3 is 11. Carry the 1. 8 plus 1 is 9, 10, 11, 12, plus 7 is going to give you 19. Carry the 1. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Carry the 1, and 1 plus 2 is 2. So we have how many decimal places? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So my answer is going to be 209 and 125 thousandths. So remember, if you made a mistake on this, it's probably going to be in this part right here where you had to add 2 zeros. If not, you probably multiplied wrong. So make sure you're checking your work and checking my work so you could know what is it that you did wrong and how you could improve that for next time. Okay, so for number 4, it says I can divide decimals. So basically, you're going to divide like if it were whole numbers. But I'm going to go ahead and put the decimal in. So when you have a decimal in your divisor, you do need to move it. So you have to scoot it over. Because I moved it all the way, that means kick the ball to the wall. So I moved 1 time, so that means I'm going to move 1 time here and bring it straight up. Okay, and then I could add zeros if I want. It's up to you. That's if only we need it. So all you have to do is go ahead and see how many 25s goes into 2. So none into 2, none into 22. So 25 into 225. So let's pretend it's $2.25. There is 4 quarters per dollar. So $2 gives you 8 quarters plus 1 more quarter. That's going to be 9. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply that. And that's going to give us 0. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that 0 there just in case we need it, but we don't really. So in this case, my answer should have been 9. So go ahead and check your answer. Make sure you are writing down what your mistakes were. You could stop the video to do that so you won't forget. So go ahead and start on that. Okay, so for number 5, it says choose the correct operation. So I need to know if it's multiplication, division, addition, or subtraction. So here it says a baby weighed blank pounds at birth. So that's your starting point. At the end of 9 months, the baby weighed blank times its birth. So right here, that times already tells you something. How many pounds did the baby weigh at the end of 9 months? So that means that she weighed something more. So because it's something more and then the word times, it means that this answer will be multiplication. So whenever, sometimes it seems like it might be addition, but because it says the word times, that's why it's multiplication. But remember, multiplication is repeated addition, so make sure you understand that too. So go ahead and go back to your test, check to see what you misread, what answer you put. If you got it wrong, make sure that you put down why you got them wrong, and then come back to the video for the next one. Okay, so number 6, actually it's the same one for number 5, but now we have the numbers. So it says a baby weighed 7 and 2,500 pounds at birth. At the end of the 9 months, the baby weighed 2.5 times its birth weight. How many pounds did the baby weigh at the end of 9 months? So we could do it 2 different ways. So I know 2.5 is the same as 2.5. If you don't know that, remember if you actually divide it, it's going to give you 2 into 10 is 5 times. So that's why we know that it's 0.5. So because we have a 2, we just put it in the front. So 2.5 is 2.5. So I'm going to do it both ways because you could do it as a decimal and you could do it as a fraction. So I'm going to go ahead and put 7 and 25 hundredths times 2 and 5/10. So 5 times 5 is 25, carry the 2, 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12, carry the 1, 5 times 7 is 35, plus 1, 36, add the 0 for the second number, 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, 2 times 7 is 14. Then I'm going to add it up, and I'm going to add it under this point value. So it's 5, 2 plus 0 is 2, 6 plus 5 is 11, 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 1 is 8, and 1 is 1. So we have 1, 2, 3 decimal places. So that means my answer is 18 and 125 thousandths pounds. Okay, so that's my answer as a decimal. Now as a fraction, I know that 7 1/4, so 7.25 is the same as 7 and 25 over 100, which simplifies to 7 1/4. So I'm going to multiply it as fractions. So we have 7 1/4 times 2 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and change them to improper fraction. Remember, with improper fraction, you multiply and add. So 4 times 7 is 28, plus 1 is 29 over 4, times 2 times 4, 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5 over 2. So that 29 times 5, so 5 times 9 is 45, carry the 4, that's 145 divided by 8. So let's go ahead and do that. So 145 divided by 8. 8 into 14 is 1 time, and our remainder is going to be 6. Bring down the 5. 8 into 65, let's see, 8 times, because it's 64, right? So 64, remainder is 1. So that remainder is your new numerator. So this becomes 8 1/8. Wait, 18 1/8. I forgot the 1. Okay, so you notice 18 and 125 thousandths and 18 1/8 are equivalent. So that means we have the right answer either with a decimal or a fraction. So make sure that you check your answer either way, whatever you did. Make sure you look at what you did incorrectly and write down about it. Look at everything and write down everything, all the mistakes you made, and hopefully you realize what your mistakes are and start learning from your mistakes. So stop the video and do that now. Okay, so here is the last one. It says the recipe for cookies requires 2/3 cup of butter. Rama wants to make 3/4 of the recipe. How many cups of butter should Rama use to make the cookies? So she's not making the whole thing, she's making part of the thing. Whenever you take part of a number, you do multiply. So yes, it is multiplication, that is your operation. But they actually multiply diagonally. And we don't multiply diagonally when it is multiplication. So what they did, they actually did 2/3, 3 times 3, which is this, and 2 times 4, which is that. And if you notice, it kind of does flip this first one. So this one, if you circle this part, that would have gotten your answer correct. Also, if you circle this part, that would have gotten your answer correct. So make sure that you understand that they shouldn't have flipped it. They shouldn't have multiplied diagonally. So just circling any of those parts would have given you the answer. If you circled this whole thing, it would have given you the 5 points too. So there were different ways you could have shown where the mistake was. Now, it says describe or show what you should have done. So what they should have done, all you had to do was 2 over 3 times 3 over 4. And most of you said you need to multiply straight across, and basically that's what you do. So 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 4 is 12. When I simplify it, I'm going to divide it by 6, so this becomes 1/2. So just showing that would have given you the 20 points because it shows you, you do it with showing your work and actually showing your answer too. There was a bonus of 5 points if you showed the correct answer. And some of you actually did show the correct answer, so you earned those extra 5 points. So if you got all of these correct, that means you got 105. And I went ahead and gave you all the points that were possible. So make sure you go back and change your answer and not change your answer and check your answer and change and show what you did incorrectly on your sheet of paper. Make sure you staple your paper, your corrections, to your test. Once you do that, I'm going to go ahead and give you half the points you lost. So if you lost 50 points, I'll give you 25 points. If you lost 20 points, I'll give you 10 points. So any points that you lost, then it will be that. Now, if you got lower than 50, I'll bring it up to 70, because if you got lower than a 50, that means you, even if I give you half the points off, you won't make a 70. So if you do these corrections, do them all correctly, write down what you did wrong, then I will give you those points, so you could go ahead and get a better grade on your grade book. So good luck with doing all these. Make sure you're writing down every mistake you made, and that way I could read them and make sure that you're understanding it now. So go ahead and work on that. If you haven't done so in writing everything down for the other problems, make sure you do it now before you turn it in. Here's the extra credit, and if you just put 1/2, then that will give you +5 on your test.